We get experimental science. We're curious, non-judgmental.
What happens to insects during the winter? Where do they go? Why do they go where they go? And we were talking about the difficulty of insects overwintering. There are ants that do this as well. That, again, we come to ants because we're SciAnts, right? Some of them, if you keep them, like if you're an ant enthusiast, you need to overwinter your ants, meaning you basically need to build a small refrigerator to put the ants into to give them this sense that they're undergoing this diapause. And if you don't, they end up dying. And again, we don't know the genetic basis of this, and that's what really gets me. So I'm like, what is the genetics behind this? Even though they've never experienced winter before in their lives, there's this internal cycle that tells them, okay, I need to prepare for winter. We should be having colder temperatures now. And if you don't give them access to that, they end up dying. There's also some where, for example, carpenter ants from Florida, they have a mild overwintering, but you can get away with not overwintering them in a lab setting. You can just keep them at constant temperature and they'll continue going without a real problem. But carpenter ants from, let's say, Pennsylvania, if you try to do the same thing, they'll probably end up not making it because they need that internal clock essentially appeased, and you need to have them overwinter and undergo this state of diapause. Do queens also die off if they don't overwinter, or just like the other members? The reason I know that this is an issue with certain ants and ant species is because we've had collaborators who've worked on different ant species or different types of carpenter ants from around the United States, where they didn't overwinter and they were like, we can't not overwinter. So they have to shut down their experiments basically from late fall to early spring. They said when they didn't, they found the colony did really poorly in terms of colony growth. That means that the queen is undergoing a lot of stress. And so that you do lose queens, but it's not just like a yes or no. It's not like always you lose queens or always you don't lose queens. They just get really stressed out. It could be a little bit of both that happens. The queens themselves, normally a carpenter ant queen can lay a couple of hundred eggs a day. You don't see the population going down until 3 months after is really when you see the population collapse hit, because it takes about 3 months to go from egg, larva to adult in a carpenter ant. And so if that queen is getting stress, you don't see that until, again, you've gotten to where those eggs that you see during the time of stress should be hatching as adults. And by that point, it could be too late. Like you might be unable to recover your colony. And so that's why you want to be pretty cautious on that front. They're very sensitive, these ant queens.